5-minute salute. I'm your host, Chris Budihas, and I'm lucky to be joined virtually with Jeff Tiegs from Skull Games. Jeff, how are you?
Terrific, man. Thanks a lot for having us. Appreciate the opportunity to talk about what we're up to.
Yeah, absolutely. But before we get into Skull Games, let's talk about you a little bit. So where are you from originally and what you do in the military?
So I'm a Wisconsin boy. I grew up in Wisconsin way back in 1987. If people even remember the 80s, is when I joined.
The 80s were great. Great music and good clothing.
The 80s were great. You know, but it also, I went right into the late 80s Army, which was an interesting thing, and it's crazy for me to think about now on how, like, the NCOs that taught me in the late 80s, how close they were still to the Vietnam era. Where I look at what we did in Iraq. Iraq invasion was 20 years ago. You know what I mean? So I even look at how old veterans we are compared to these older men, these seasoned grunts that brought me up. So I spent 5 years in the 1st Ranger Battalion. That's from a private up to a sergeant. Wasn't sure what I wanted to do next. Had a break in service. Went to college out in Montana, and then I came back in as an officer. Really, just I loved small unit tactics. Went back to Ranger and ended up going to Special Forces again, staying in that small unit tactics. And then from Special Forces, I went to 1st Special Forces Operational Attachment Delta, people know as Delta Force, and finished out my career there after about a decade. And I'm sure, Chris, we've crossed paths at some place. Probably most likely downrange somewhere, but maybe a time or two here in the U.S. Well,
yeah, I think we're in the career course together, and then I think downrange we probably met each other in Baghdad a couple times. But yeah, I agree. It's funny. I don't want to go back to the way it was, but like when I enlisted in '87, all my my senior NCOs were Vietnam vets, and we were preparing for the next Vietnam or nuclear war. Take your choice. But no, that's some nostalgia there for sure. So hey, so this organization, Skull Games, the creation of it, why, and what are you guys doing?
So it's a combination of altruism and selfishness. Okay, so part of what I mean by that is that all of us, as we move to concluding our military service, it's what do we do next? What do I enjoy doing? What is that next mission? Because we're so our brains are just continually bombarded with mission and vision, task and purpose. And really, when I look back through my career, I really enjoyed just hunting bad men, sticking up for the people that needed to be stood up for, fighting bullies, this idea of free the oppressed, the oppressor libera, that Special Forces motto.
Yep.
I realized as I was moving towards retirement, that wasn't just a motto for me. That was something that was really ingrained in my body. And so I was really looking for something that I would find interesting, that I felt like the military had prepared me for. Repurposing those tax dollars. People put a lot of money into training this old man. They might as well get their dollars worth here as I'm on this final frontier. And then Chris, also, I think we're doing a lot better preparing our men and women for life after service.
Yep.
But there were events, again, coming out of the unit where it's like we moved mountains to assess, select, and train and retain operators. And then as they came to the end of their careers, it was like, see ya, good luck. We didn't create stuff for them. We didn't have opportunities for them. And I, just like I was selfishly looking at what do I want to be next? Who do I want to be next? Who do I want around me? It's these same people that come out of our ranks. And really, it's these enablers that are the unsung heroes. When people think of Special Forces and Delta Force, they're always thinking of that assaulter. But man, we're only there because of those enablers that are busting their butt. So to create this analytical operational symbiosis that doesn't exist in law enforcement, and focusing it 100% on sexual exploitation of women and children, it's a really a magical mix that's working.
Yeah. And so your organization is helping, prevent this human trafficking epidemic we have across the country. So is that a network of folks? I can imagine it's a network that is enabling this effort. And you guys work hand in hand, I imagine, with law enforcement and I guess local to national Department of Justice folks. And are you seeing positive traction in this area, or is there a lot more work to be done?
All of the above. So
Okay.
it really is this special forces model of the buy through and with. And I don't know if you know this, Chris, but apparently there's a through with and buy now. It's not just buy through and with. There's a big argument out there in the ranks. I didn't know this, but regardless if you're a through with and buy or a buy through and with, that was how we began to leverage our influence both in Iraq and Afghanistan and all of these other places that really didn't get highlighted.
Yeah.
And so our host nation partner that we're supporting is just our men and women in blue, local law enforcement. And we're having much more success, and this isn't going to surprise anybody, at the village elder level, at the tribal leadership level, So it's these communities that really care about what's happening to the women and children in their own communities. And we're bringing, this world-class operations and intelligence cycle, and we really use open source intelligence, this publicly available information, to really bring out and illuminate what this network looks like. So we're trying to get law enforcement to the right place at the right time with the right information to both arrest these sex predators and then offer these victims a path to freedom. And that combination is working incredibly. And the reason we call it Skull Games is a couple things, but one of them is an infamous pimp used to say, pimping ain't a sex game, it's a skull game. And I want people to understand that and recognize that. Like it's a sexual act, it's a fantasy, it's exploitation that's for sale.
Yeah.
But the traffickers understand it's the hearts and minds that they're controlling. And just like we fought Al Qaeda and ISIS all across the globe, like that's a physical fight, but it's also an ideological fight, and it's the control and manipulation. So we've got to beat these traffickers at their own game. And then again, I don't know how you kind of rationalized or coped with warfare, but to me, I always looked at it as a game, a strategic game and a tactical game. Sometimes it was checkers, sometimes it was chess, sometimes it was tiddlywinks, you know what I mean? But I always looked at it as almost like a board that we are moving our pieces against someone else's pieces, trying to predict what they were going to do, finding their gaps and weaknesses. And that's the exact same thing we're trying to do with these sex predators is understand what the landscape looks like and outmaneuver them.
Well, hey, Jeff, thanks. Is the organization a 501c3 or you guys a C or S Corp?
No, it's a 501c3. So we are wholly dependent on individual donors. And then we have an interesting relationship with corporate donors because we leverage all the technology that's out there. So there are tech companies that use our analytical prowess to kind of test and refine some of their software. So we hunt every single day. As we speak, we've got people that are hunting escort ads and developing leads and cases to push to law enforcement. And then every quarter we come together as a task force, and we've gamified this hunt. So it's we've turned it into something that's interesting and competitive, but with sometimes deadly consequences.
Nah. Hey, Jeff. So for folks out there who want to take a look at your site and what the organization's doing and potentially want to donate, just go to skullgames.org. Is that how they find you?
It's skullgames.io is us. I think if they type in skullgames.org, it'll go there as well.
Okay.
So, the .io moniker, apparently it's kind of like a tech entrepreneur startup kind of concept. So, we kind of we glommed onto that concept of, hey, we are a nonprofit, but we don't really operate like one. We're very light, we're very nimble, we're very aggressive. But yeah, skullgames.io, I believe skullgames.org will get you there. Man, you can spend hours reading through just kind of what we're doing, how we're doing it, and get more information on what this crime looks like.
That's powerful. Hey, Jeff, first of all, thank you for your service. It's good to see you again. I look forward to carrying on this conversation in the future in any way we can help here, with your effort. It's very honorable. We look forward to helping you and your compatriot in what you're doing. This is great. And as I tell folks, as they exit the military, you got to understand your purpose, and mine is to make people and organizations better. And no doubt you're doing the same thing there. So thank you for your leadership. Thank you for what you did in the service, and more importantly, what you're doing now. And I look forward to having this conversation even further. Hey, folks, if you like what you heard, please follow us on LinkedIn. Take a look at Google skullgames.org or skullgames.io. Take a look at the site, and if you feel compelled, please donate to this organization. Definitely doing God's work out there to help the oppressed to be freed and move into a life that they deserve. So thank you very much. See you at our next segment.